Hi, Bella. So Bella is a motivational speaker that has spoken on 4 TED Talks. She's an international model, actress, recently featured on the Netflix series Sexy Beasts, I saw. So Bella, take it away and please tell us more about it.
Hi, everyone. It's so good to be here. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a model. I've worked with companies like Topshop and Adidas and Fenty Beauty. I'm also a full-time TED speaker, and I've given talks both here in London and in America. I run my own magazine called Motivate, where I have an amazing team of interviewers who find people all over the world with inspirational stories to tell. And when I was 14, I started up a foundation called Love Kids to empower kids through workshops. I'm also an actor. I've won awards for screenwriting, and I recently played the lead in an Amazon original feature film. I've been on reality TV shows, including Sexy Beasts on Netflix. And then besides that, I'm also an NLP practitioner and psychology student at King's College London. So I'm going to start with the fact that every time people find out what I do, they ask me how I have the time of day. And whilst my answer is usually, well, we all have the same amount of hours in a day as Beyonce, the truth is that people who ask me this use that excuse of time themselves. So it's so much easier to stay in our certainty circle that we make excuses to do literally just that. I'm not old enough. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough time. But the reason I've been able to do all the things I've wanted to do by the age of 22 is that I never gave myself excuses. So it all started back when I was 13. I was at a really difficult school. I was really bullied. I really hated myself and I really hated my looks. And I just had absolutely no self love or confidence. And then I just suddenly learned about the power of self love and how it all just comes down to a decision and how short life is and how important it is that you love yourself. And I used all these tools to empower myself, and it completely changed everything. And I thought, how can I spread this information to other kids, to other teenagers? And I was only 14 at this point, and I thought, no, I don't care that I'm 14. I'm going to start up a foundation, and that's going to be the fastest way that I can possibly spread this information to other kids. And so I started up this foundation, Love Kids, when I was 14. And the reason I was able to change everything was just I changed my perspective on the people who bullied me. So, people, I came up with this EHAT theory. People who give you hate, if you take the letter E from the end of the word hate and put it at the beginning, it becomes EHAT. So essentially, when people give you hate in life, they're giving you an EHAT with a label on it. And it's up to you whether to wear that hat or not. And the reason that I was able to start this foundation and learn to love myself and do everything I wanted to do was because I took off these hats. And I think that that applies to everything you do in life. And then the ironic thing is that the day I gave my first workshop on self love was the day that I got scouted to be a model. And it's been like that with everything. Every single thing I've wanted to do in life, I've just got rid of excuses and I've just gone and done it. I mean, even my magazine, I remember I was like sitting in a pool and I was reading Success magazine and I thought, why don't I have a magazine? And I leapt out the pool and I started messaging people who could get involved. And you just have to take action now with every single thing that you want to do. And there's a reason that any good motivational speaker will start their talks by telling you what they've achieved, because I'm showing you that it's possible. And don't get me wrong, as I just said, I haven't always believed in myself, but that's why I'm here to tell you how to get those excuses out of your head and to learn to embrace the unknown. Because when you live constantly wanting certainty, it's like being in prison. Like you constantly know what time you're going to eat and what time you're going to sleep, and it can end up just being quite boring and quite a dull life. But the moment you get rid of the excuses that you used to hold you back and you embrace the unknown, everything becomes possible and there are no limits anymore. And you can be that extra degree in life, that person who goes just one step further than everyone else. Because life is so short and you can be the one who fully embraces it, which is what I'm trying to tell you all today. It's the message that I'm sharing with you. So if I were to ask you, what legacy would you like to leave in the world? What would you say? Well, every action and decision that you make when you wake up every day should be in favor of achieving that legacy. Because excuses aren't real. Yeah, they'll always be there for you and they'll always give you certainty, but opportunities won't. And yeah, opportunities can give you so much uncertainty, but we miss 100% of the opportunities that we don't take. I mean, I didn't know what I was doing when I wanted to start a foundation or a magazine or when I was going into film, but life's so short, so I did it anyway. You just have to ask yourself, a month from now, do you want to be proud of a month of progress, or do you want to have a month of excuses about why you don't? So I'll ask that again. A month from now, do you want to be proud of a month of progress, or do you want to have a month of excuses about why you don't? One of the things I tell myself every single day is that I could die tomorrow. Any of us could. And that's why you have to take action now. And I could go through each excuse that people come up with to not achieve everything they want in life, but you can easily do that yourself. You know, I'm too young. Well, that's bullshit. There are countless musicians and Olympians and dropout entrepreneurs and even genius scientists who started out when they were children. And, you know, even my story about starting my foundation when I was 14. So let me ask you this. At this point in your life right now, what would you do if you could do or be anything and you knew you couldn't fail? And then my next question is, okay, and why aren't you doing it? Is that excuse really good enough? And a lot of people say, okay, well, you know, I really want to do it. I'll get rid of the excuses. I can find the resources. But how do I find the motivation? Because sometimes, you know, I get knocked down. Sometimes I can't find a passionate enough reason to keep doing this. So the thing that I love telling people in terms of how to find that motivation is to give yourself a good enough reason. So I'll phrase it like this. If I told you to come to my house at 4 in the morning on a normal night, you'd work the next day, but you have to come to my house at 4 in the morning and I will give you a donut. You'd probably be like, I don't think I want to get up and go all the way to your house at 4 in the morning for a donut. But if I said, I want you to get up at 4 in the morning and come to my house and I will give you $1 million, you'd be there at 3:30. The end goal is the same. The end goal is that you have reached the same final destination. You have reached my house, but you have changed your reason for getting there. And so if you don't feel motivated, just change the reason that you want to achieve that goal. And that's one of the best ways I can suggest you stay motivated and suggest that you can achieve everything you want. So another example, recent example I can give of that is so my grandfather. He's amazing at the piano. He's so good. So I filmed him one day and I posted a video of him playing the piano on TikTok. And he got millions of views. He got hundreds of thousands of followers. I said, Grandad, look at what I've done. Look, I've set up this TikTok. Look how many views you got. Look how many people love you. And he's never really cared about attention or significance. And he just said, oh, that's really lovely. And he was really touched by it. But then I said, okay, well, here's where we can go from here. You can keep doing your TikTok. You can keep making videos. And he said, but why would I do that? Because he didn't have that motivated reason just for getting TikTok attention. So then he reframed it. He said, okay, if I can use this platform to raise money for cancer research, then I can continue doing these TikToks. And it gave him this whole new motivation. And he's now been all over the news. He's raised it's over 14 grand for cancer research now, just from making TikToks. And so if you go back to that motivation story, he gave himself a new reason for wanting to do that. And so in life, you know, if there is something that you just don't feel motivated enough to do, change your reason, because it will change everything and it will change your actions and it will give you the passion that you need in order to reach that goal. So in terms of my granddad and his TikTok, he gave himself that reason. He said, I'm going to continue to raise money. And he's got this website, Piano Granddad, and he's just raising thousands from this because it's given him this new motivation. So with every single goal in life, no matter how unrelated it is to what you're already doing or what you've already done, find a way, make a way. Because if you don't, who will? And if you don't do it now, when will you do it? So what I'm telling you with everything you want to do is do it. That thing on your mind right now, do it. That person that you love, tell them. Because if this last year's taught us anything, it's that life could be gone in any moment and opportunities can disappear at any moment. So just find a way to make it work. So that's been my story. And now you can continue to write yours. Make it something your grandchildren will want to hear one day. So the last thing, which I always tell people, is that you only have one life, so you have to live it to the fullest. And that is everything that I want to share with you all today.
That's really inspiring, Bella. Thank you so much for sharing this and for sharing your journey. And it was a very, very motivating talk. I have a couple of questions for you in regards to social media. First one being, what platforms are you most present on, and which ones do you get the most engagement from?
I would say I'm definitely the most present on Instagram. And I think that social media is such a great way to spread the message that you want to spread, and to make that difference, because we've suddenly been given this opportunity now that we never had in the past, where we have these social media platforms and we can create these followings and we can spread these messages that we want to spread. So Instagram's always played a really important role for me in spreading all of these things that I've actually talked about today.
Amazing. And if you were to sort of look at how social media has affected our generation and the way that people communicate, how do you feel social media has changed in the way people communicate?
Well, it's actually really interesting you asked me that question, because I gave a talk about this the other day. I think social media has been mostly a really good thing for changing the way that people communicate. It's definitely facilitated things. And I feel like things like TikTok, that actually kept the entire world connected over lockdown. We were able to hop on all these trends together. I think it's important to ensure that we remain present with each other because of this rise of social media. Obviously, we rely on it a lot, and we rely on it a lot for our validation. But then, in reference to everything that I was talking about, I think it's important to not ever use it against, the way you see yourself. And I think that, there's a lot of editing going on right now, and I think that it's great that social media has risen so much. But in terms of communication, I just think that we need to remember to remain true to who we really are and not lose touch of that. And especially, that's why I love platforms like TikTok. I think those platforms are really great because people are actually being themselves and being silly and making jokes. So yeah, I think it's been really, really good for communication, and actually, especially things like TikTok and bringing people together, and definitely good for platforms and spreading messages. But then I think it's also important to remember who we are in real life as well.
Absolutely. So you mentioned that there are trends on TikTok. Could you explain, or where do you feel these trends come from, and how are they sort of created, and why do you think, why do you feel trends even become a thing on TikTok?
That's an interesting question. I think that, well, I guess it depends on the trend. Obviously it all started out because there were dancers on TikTok, and then everyone started wanting to do this dance, and then it started connecting everyone, and then suddenly it became, there's a running joke, let's all jump in on this joke together. But I think it's actually a really amazing thing, because a lot of the trends are simply people spreading some kind of message or some important theory that they want to spread. And normally what happens is it comes from an account that they're particularly inspired by. And so, one account will release a video where they're making some kind of joke, or they're kind of using a sound to talk about an important issue, and then people will add to it. And then there's this massive sense of community, which is why I think that trends grow if they're inspiring others. And that doesn't have to be something that's deep. It could be literally just a joke. But I think that that's where they come from, things that inspire and spark curiosity in others.
Interesting. Yeah. And why do you feel like TikTok is more of a positivity driven space compared to the other social media platforms? Because this is a topic that has been recurrent over the social forum today, with several speakers mentioning that TikTok really breeds positivity, and it's just such a happy place, and that's why they were so fond of TikTok. Why do you feel that's the case?
You know what I think it is? I think that it sparked from things like Musical.ly and Vine, where people weren't using it like what it is. TikTok's never been seen as a platform where people are fake and people have to be something that they're not, and people have to look a certain way. TikTok has always been about humor. TikTok has always been about entertainment. Whereas Instagram's always been about posting the highlight reel of your life and the best parts of your life. But TikTok is a kind of about sharing the worst parts of your life and saying, hey, who else feels this way? And I think it's just never been associated with over editing or, you know, in my case, TikTok, it's only just become like a thing that models use, whereas Instagram's always been important for models. You'll never have a client saying, what's your TikTok following? But they'll always want to know what your Instagram following is. And so I think because it's just this, it's this breeding ground for so much humor, and it's always been like that. Whereas Instagram, I think, is trying to hop on that trend. You know, it's introduced the reels and everything, but it's already kind of planted its seed, and that's what people know it for. They know it already for being this app where people post these really, you know, beautiful, edited, modelly photos of themselves.
Absolutely. That's really, and also, you know, with the filters on the stories, placing filters and things like that, it removes the authenticity. So would you say that being authentic and authenticity is really what demarks TikTok as a positive space compared
100%.
to others?
I think originally TikTok, it used to be people just posting silly videos. I mean, even on my TikTok account, I don't post videos for other people's attention. I post videos because it's like I enjoy making them and I popped on the trend. And then if other people enjoy them, other people enjoy them. And I think that's always been the case with TikTok. People are always really surprised when their videos go viral. They're not posting them
Yeah,
to get seen, they're posting them to have fun. And so they really are being authentic to themselves. And I love the fact that there's so much authenticity on TikTok. There's so much, like, I don't dress up to post a TikTok, but I would dress up to post an Instagram.
absolutely. Right. And with TikTok, do you find that you've been able to grow your audience faster than on Instagram with more of an organic reach?
Yeah, I think that it links to what I was saying before. There's so much opportunity now on TikTok. We really need to embrace this opportunity, because I don't know when we'll get this kind of thing happen again, where we can so quickly reach, you know, millions of people and go viral that easily. And there's such an opportunity for that now. So I found, like, yeah, there have been times I've posted, like, there was even one time I posted a TikTok of my dog. And I woke up the next day and she had like thousands of likes. And I thought, oh, you know, I just posted that because I thought she looked really cute. And then there was another time I thought, okay, I'm watching a lot of girls post videos where they give advice about men and relationships. And so I sat in my car and I just like, I'm going to try something. And I posted this video. I woke up the next day, I had 100,000 views. I mean, this is just what happens with TikTok. I mean, those aren't even extreme examples. I've seen the craziest videos go viral as well. So I think it's a good opportunity for people to do that.
Yeah, interesting. So you mentioned earlier that Instagram sort of planted its seed as a certain thing, and that they would have a hard time deviating from that and changing it into, like, say, what TikTok is, because they're already known as something. So with LinkedIn, which is a social media platform, LinkedIn being a business sort of space where people are either looking at hiring people or to be hired. Would you feel like, or what is your opinion on LinkedIn replanting its seed as more of a social platform like Instagram? Do you think that's a possibility? Do you think social media can sort of reframe?
Yeah, I was having this conversation with someone this morning, weirdly, about LinkedIn rebranding itself. And I actually really think it's such a good thing, because Instagram, you know, and TikTok, on the one hand, it's a really great way to promote your business. It's a really great way to get hired if you're if you're in a certain kind of job. So for me, you know, it's great. Like I've had some modeling work and even acting jobs and presenting roles from Instagram, and I know that loads of people get hired from TikTok. But LinkedIn is where you get people from all industries, not just the creative industries. And I think that LinkedIn rebranding itself to be more creative and to have that thing where you can follow people and apparently now go live, I think that's really good, because that's how people can get hired in other industries. Whereas creative apps like TikTok and Instagram, you can't necessarily do that.
Hmm. So which platform do you feel like most benefited you?
Well, for me, because I've always used it and was able to grow my following, I would say that Instagram has always been a really good platform for me. I think again, it really depends what industry that you're in. I think that TikTok can serve everyone. I mean, I wouldn't have said that necessarily a year and a half ago, but I've now seen a lot of TikToks from Ryanair and Duolingo. And obviously, they're not models, they're an airline and a language learning app. And I think that it's if you can grab someone's attention from entertainment, it's such a good way to promote your brand. And so for me, Instagram's been really good because of modeling. And so I would continue to say that it's really good for modeling, especially I know loads of model influencers who have started creating reels about what goes on in the industry. And then you've got IGTV as well, which is really good. IGTV is something TikTok obviously doesn't have, because TikTok, you can only post things up to 3 minutes. So again, it really depends on the industry that you're in. But I would say TikTok definitely serves everyone. But it would be interesting to see where LinkedIn goes as well. I mean, obviously, everyone pretty much has LinkedIn, and people don't always realize how important it is to use as well. I mean, it's a really good way to get hired. It's a great way to just store everything on your CV, which is obviously something that TikTok and Instagram don't have as well. So I think they're all really good platforms to have, but LinkedIn's just like a must.
Yeah. And do you feel like social media has changed the way people communicate? If we look at our generation and the way social media is being used on a day-to-day basis and the way people interact?
Honest answer, I think that in reference to what I said earlier, in terms of just sort of day-to-day communication, I think there are a lot of aspects of social media that haven't been great. I have a little sister, and she's in that generation that is very, very mobile phone, social media obsessed. And
Okay.
obviously it works for them, but I feel like every single time I'm around, kids that love, or teenagers or just young adults who love being on social media, they're kind of always on social media and they're communicating with friends. I mean, I'll give a more specific example of what I'm talking about. I was in Mallorca a couple of months ago, and I went to this bar, and there was a table of, they were probably about 18 to like 3 18-year-old girls sitting at a table on their phones the entire night, didn't say a word to each other. And I just thought, that is so interesting. Do you think they're texting each other? Even though they were sitting next to each other. And so I think that we really need to be careful in terms of communication, because I think that in terms of lockdown, it really innovated communication. It was such a good way to keep people together and to create communities. And then there were things like House Party, where people could actually meet other people by jumping onto their phone calls. And I thought House Party was such a good thing over lockdown, just to have people continue to socialize. But then I think once everything's opened up, it's definitely important that we can take pictures, we can post, we can comment on each other's things, but when we're together, I always think it's better to not be texting the whole time or going through TikToks. And those girls are, I'm using them as an example, but I've seen it happen quite a bit. So I think it's changed communication, but I think that, especially with the younger generations, we have to be careful with how much it's changed communication.
Absolutely. So you mentioned House Party. Is that like a online Zoom call with everyone from their house?
Yeah, so House Party. It's really funny because I remember I first used it when I was about 16 or 17, and then it just sort of disappeared, and it made this massive comeback over lockdown, and everyone was using it. It's basically
Facebook. Yeah, I haven't actually heard of this.
Honestly, it made my lockdown. It was basically like a FaceTiming app, but then you can play games on it as well. And then when you log on, you can see the rooms people are already in, and then you can join their room unless they lock their room. And so then you can, so for example, if I have Jenna as a contact on House Party, and Jenna is on a House Party call with 3 of her friends, I can join the call even if I don't have your friends as contacts. And then also once you do that, you can add them as contacts. And then sometimes, you know everyone on the call, but you can have lots and lots of people on the same call at the same time. I remember having so many house parties, as jarring as that phrase sounds. There was one night where I had this friend, and he messaged all of his pretty much all his friends, and even if they didn't know each other, and he was like, I'm DJing on house parties tonight. And so we all jumped on this house party call, and he was he literally had a DJ deck with him, and we were all just in our rooms like, woo, you know. So I think,
oh my God.
yeah,
That's such a
technology
novel
is great.
concept.
I know it's such a lockdown thing, honestly. Like, but, you know, obviously it's been such a good thing for things like lockdown. You've got house party, and then you've got the more formal things like Zoom, and you've had all the Zoom Christmas parties and the Zoom drinks and the Zoom birthday things. And I think that that's really facilitated things as far as it goes past lockdown. You know, people are really still using Zoom, even if they don't need to be, because they've realized that it's doable and it's actually
Convenient.
easier. Yeah. So I think in that respect, technology's been really great for communication.
Absolutely.
Goes both ways.
Absolutely. A lot of with the restrictions still standing because of the pandemic, a lot of the weddings that have happened in the recent times have been over Zoom. I've seen that happen quite a lot, which has been helpful for people who obviously can't have their family over, or so yeah, I feel like
Exactly. You can live stream your entire life. It's great. Like if people can't make it to your wedding and then they're on the other side of the world, especially during COVID, it's been really great. Yeah. And then also with different industries, like in the acting industry, they've really increased virtual self-tapes, and obviously that's made it a lot easier for actors because they don't have to commute. And so I think it's definitely increased opportunities as well.
Yeah, that's great. So what's a tip or a lesson you've learned along the way that can help other people and businesses gain a bigger outreach?
So I actually compiled something recently to give advice. I would say you have to do it if you want to build your brand. You have to get involved with collaborating with others. I think that that's a really it's a two-way street. And so the first way that I built my following all those years ago, when I said, okay, I'm actually going to become an influencer, I think it's really important for my platform. So yeah, it's to become an influencer. It's to work with other brands. It's to write to other brands and say, let's help each other out. And that could be anything from taking part in giveaways, which are really good, where you find a brand and then they do a giveaway, or you find a giveaway that's already happening and you say, okay, you know, in your giveaway they follow both of us, and then I will promote your brand as a result. Or if you're really starting out, then even things like gifting and posting ads there, because then the company will repost your content. I think it's always really important to use hashtags, and I think people don't utilize this enough. I think that there are great apps out there as well that show you the popular hashtags that people are looking up. Like there's hashtag expert, which is the one I use. And you just type in the hashtags that are relevant to your post, and then it will come up with all of the ones that are popular in that category on that day. And again, people don't realize they can use hashtags in stories. And that's just a really, I think, important way to get a big outreach. So I'd say collaborations and hashtags. And then a really important thing I've realized is your personal brand. If you have a really strong personal brand, something that people really know you for, and then people can only come to you for that. People will think of you when it comes to your personal brand, and then they'll therefore follow you for it, and they'll tell other people about what it is that you're promoting. And so I say come up with a really strong personal brand for yourself or for your business that people will recognize. So those are my three biggest tips. I do have a lot of tips. I'd say just really take advantage of that community that you have on social media, and how you can help another brand or person out and make it reciprocal. And then, you know, your followers will both see each other. Another big thing you can do is look at an account that's doing something you want to be doing, that has a lot of followers, and see kind of the blueprint they've used and the sort of content that they've been creating.
Amazing. Well, Bella, thank you so much for your insight, for your inspirational talk, for all your tips and strategies. It's been really insightful and really motivating, and I'm sure to the audience as well. And yeah,
Thank
thank you
you
so
for
much
having
for
me. It's been
coming
great to
on.
speak.